This bow tuning tip is brought to you by Winchester Archery's Black Horse, Archer Extreme, Warrior Tough, Bow Grip Bow Vices. Get a grip. Hey everybody, today we're going to be installing the peep sight on the Black Horse. You know, on the last video, I talked to you guys, I told you guys that I was actually going to do the silencers and I was going to replace a D-loop. But every time you get ready to set up a bow and you're going to install the peep sight, you got to shoot the bow a few times. And now, I know you can't shoot it very far because you can't sight it in. Obviously, you don't have a peep sight. But the reason I like to do that is because when they're made, things need to stretch out. You need to kind of break it in a little bit. So I always recommend taking the bow and shooting it about 20, 30 times or something. Just stand 5, 10 feet from the target and just sit there and just plug arrows right into the target. And that's what I did. I've already done that. So in the process of me doing that, I realized that the D-loop that comes on factory on this bow, there's nothing wrong with the D-loop. It's a great D-loop. It sticks out like I like, and it's it's stretched in and it's the perfect length. So I'm going to stick with that D-loop unless it starts to wear before season or something, then I'll replace it. And the string silencers that come on there. I was under the impression, first off, that they weren't silencers. I thought that they were some type of a speed enhancement. Some bows have like what they call speed balls or speed demons. It's a weight that goes on the string. And actually, these do provide you with some of that. We're going to get to that when we get to the shooting process later on, sighting it in. But they also offer a great dampening. I mean, it takes a lot of thing out of it. This bow's surprisingly quiet without having a conventional type silencer that we're normally used to. Okay, but what I want to suggest is, okay, if you guys want to know how to tie a D-loop or you want to know how to install silencers, I have those videos on my channel on YouTube, and they're also on the website. So go looking for those. You'll find out that I've got one that you can tie in cat whiskers. I've got one where I install the solid silencers. I've got a couple variations on the D-loop. I think I got 4 of them or something like that, with a catfish loop, a P-loop, and the 2 variations of a D-loop itself. So I've got all those videos. All you got to do is go check those out, okay? But back to the peep sight installation. Okay, the first thing you need to do is you need to back out your limb bolts about 3 turns. I've already done that just to save time on the video, but I went ahead and I backed out the limb bolts 3 times on each one of these. Now, if your bow's already backed out some, go ahead and bottom it out and then back it out 3 turns. But when you bottom it out, count how many turns you turn in so you can set it back to the original poundage that you had it at. I went ahead, this was already bottomed out at 70 pounds. I backed it out 3 turns. The reason I'm going to do that is I want to take a little bit of tension off of everything so that I won't have as much problem using the bow press on it. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the bow in position. We're going to take it down with the bow grip. I'm using a bow grip bow vise, so I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to set the back limb on the bench, the top right where the limb pocket's at, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock the bow grip down. And then we're going to be pressing it today with the Bowmaster. So you guys that think that you have to have a high dollar bow press, one of those $700,000-$800,000 bow presses in order to do bow work, man, I'm going to show you how cool this Bowmaster really is. Now, the Black Horse is split limb, so we're going to have to use the parallel limb split limb adapters. It's a little adapter you can get that goes along with the Bowmaster, and the way they work is it's real simple. You just simply take the T part of it, it goes inside, and it locks in like so. Boom. And you've got a split limb adapter put on there. Okay. And the way I like to do this is generally we're going to be working up here on this end of the bow, okay, where we're going to put the peep in. So we're going to put the Bowmaster, the shackle part that turns, down on this end away from our area where we're working. That way we have less stuff to get in our way. Okay, we've got the Bowmaster on each side of our limb, on the outsides of our limbs, and we've got the shackle turned down. It's down here by the bottom of our bow, away from where we're going to be working at. You just want to do this to keep all these, because you can see this thing can get in the way, and we want to keep it as clear as possible. Okay, so you're just going to go ahead and take your Bowmaster and you're going to crank it down. Now, you don't need to crank this thing down to where the string's going to come off the cams right here on the ends. You want to just crank it down enough to where it's going to allow you to take some tension off the string. I mean, you don't, like I said, you don't need to crank it down to where you can take the string off. I mean, because sometimes if you go too far, the string can literally come right off of those cable off the tracks, which is not a big deal. Now, okay, now see, we've got some slack in the string, which is exactly what we need. We need this string to be loose so we can open these fibers up and get our peep sight in. Okay, right here you can see there's a small piece of B50 that's been inserted into the bowstring. On different bow brands, it's going to be different stuff. Some of them have just a piece of paper. You've probably seen that before on a bow if you're shopping for bows that's hanging on the shelf. There's going to be something inserted there. This basically gives you a divider line to where the center of the string is. It's going to have each bowstring divided into equal strands in half, and so you can install your peep sight. So it makes it really nice. All you have to do is take both pieces of those, both tag ends, and pull them across the string like this. You see how I'm pulling it apart. And you take your string separator and you go ahead and insert that into the string, and it should pop open, and then that little piece will just fall right out just like it did. Okay, so that's got our string divided right in half. All right, now what we're going to be installing on this bow today, we're going to be installing the G5 titanium Meta Peep. Okay, if you notice on the side of the peep sight, it's got an angled slot. It's got it on both sides. And there's a ring that goes all the way around the outside. Okay, this angle is made to where when you put the peep sight in the string, it's going to hold the peep sight, say, at an angle. Okay, now if you look at this peep sight the way it's in the string now, if I was to draw this bow back, which is going to be drawing it straight up, I'm not going to be able to see through the hole of the peep sight because it's not turned right. Okay, what you have to do is you have to have the peep sight turned so when you draw the bow back, you're going to be able to see through the peep, which means it has to go like this. Okay? Now that gives the perfect angle when you draw the peep sight back. Now I've lined this peep up with my D-loop, okay, right off the bat. So you can see here's my peep sight going straight back, and if you look down to the D-loop here, the D-loop's going straight up too. Okay, so now I took the string separator out, allowed the pressure to go back down on the string, and it's now grabbing through those slots on both sides of that peep. It's actually grabbed hold of the peep sight, and it's going to keep it in place. Okay, now we're going to have to tie this in to keep it in place because you're not done yet. But we're going to have to set it, and I'm getting ready to show you how to do that. We're going to go ahead now and just draw the bow back and get the peep sight lined up with our eye. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm just aiming at the wall over here, just in case I do touch my trigger. I'm just going to shoot a hole in the wall, which is going to be ugly, and my wife will be mad at me. But it's better than shooting a hole through the window or something. Okay. Now my peep's pretty close to being in line with my eye. I can still see through it. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and anchor. And what I tell everybody to do is just look up at the top cam, anchor, close your eyes, bring your head down, anchor normally, like, okay, I'm getting ready to fire right there, and then open your eye. Okay, now, I can see the peep sight, but it is about 1/4 of an inch low. I'm about splitting that. I'm splitting the ring on the rogue sight. So it's real simple. All we have to do is just lift that up, slide it right up in the string. Now, I know there's some tension, but it'll still slide. You just ease it up like that. And we're going to try it again and get it lined up with my eye. And do the same thing. Aim at something safe. Keep your finger behind the trigger. You want to go ahead and get your bow up there. Bring your head down. Relax. And look through the peep sight. And I'll be dang if in 2 times I did not get it perfect the second shot. That is amazing. Generally, if I'm doing that for somebody else, it takes me 5 tries. I always suggest having a good bow vise. Something that's easy to use whenever you're working on your bow, just something stable, because we put a lot of money into our bows, guys, and we put a lot of work. And for those guys out there who are truly passionate about shooting and working on their own equipment, having good tools, to me is like vital. So and it sounds like a dang commercial, I know, but the bow grip is just like so simple, so tough, and it's just an awesome vise. If you guys, you need to go check those out and take a look. If you're in the market for getting a bow vise, I mean, for $79, you can't beat this little puppy. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead though and install the peep sight. Now that I done gave you a commercial and a senseless plug for bow grip. All right, let's get it done. Alright, let's see if we can do this with me keeping my big fat fingers out of the way. Okay, what I like to do is I take a piece of B50. I got a big old roll. This is a 1/4 pound spool of B50. It's got like 1,000,000 feet of B50 on it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull off about 18 inches, 2 feet of it. I'm going to snip it off. And we're going to start the knot. Now, I have a video that's called Know Your Knot. And if you guys have never watched that video, it's going to give you a lot of basic knots that we tie. It's going to give you the knot that you can tie in your peep sight. It's going to give you the knot to tie in silencers, to tie the D-loop, to tie in any various things that go on the string. It's got several different knot styles. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of the super knot, and a lot of times when I'm tying in a peep sight, I will put a super knot in there. But today we're going to do it a little differently. I want to do a little different knot. I want to do the overhand knot, and it's basically you take your string that we've just cut off of the B50. It's going to be about 2 foot long, so we're going to double it. So you got a loop in it like this. And what you want to do is take the 2 ends and you want to run through that loop like so. And you're going to pull it, and it's got the string, the bow strings in the middle, you see. We're going to go just like that, okay? Now just start right here at the top of the V. That'll be perfectly fine. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start tying these half hitch knots. We're going to go through there just like that. This is the over and under knot, or overhand knot, you can call it. You just start tying it, and you're tying it below the original knot, and it's going towards the peep sight now, okay? And the reason that you do that is you always, when you put a peep sight in, you always want to tie it in or serve it in, however you end up securing it. You want to go from the top above it to the bottom below it. That's just your standard process of doing that knot. Okay, so we're just going to continue to do this all the way down the string. And each time you do it, you're going to see that little V at the top there get a little smaller. It's going to get smaller every single time. Okay, I've got about 5 times around there now. I'm probably going to go about 7 times. Okay, now that we've got it there, we're going to go ahead and take both of these strands. We're going to go through this V right here at the top of the peep sight. I'm going to go around one side, pick a side, doesn't matter. And then you're going to go below it again, do that V again, because this is one continuous piece of string is what we're tying here. Okay, we're going to do it like that, and then we're going to continue to tie the same knot we were tying before, except for this time we're going from the peep sight away towards our bottom cam. Okay, once you get down to where you got about 7 or 8 knots on there, like so, you want to go ahead and just tie it off. And what I do with this to tie this knot off is go around the string one time. You tie a little mini super knot. Go once, come back around and go twice, and then tie it off with a square knot right there. Take your scissors, not your razor blade, because razor blades cut bowstrings. Scissors cut the string we want to cut, and then just light it, get it hot enough to melt it like so. Stick it back to itself. There you go. Okay, the only thing left to do now, let's go ahead and throw your arrow back on there again, and we're going to double check that we tied in the peep sight correctly, which we did, and we want to make sure that it hasn't moved for some reason, like the knots didn't make it move. We're going to draw it back and anchor just like we did before. You should be able to draw it back perfect. You should lay your head on there, anchor, and be looking square through your peep with that at the ring of your sight, and I can see it perfect, which is awesome. All right, now we've got one final thing to tie in on this peep sight to keep it secure. I'm going to show you guys that, and then we're going to be ready to shoot this bow, which is, I'm so stoked because deer season's coming and I'm getting like giddy as a schoolgirl. Okay, now I told you guys this peep sight has a ring, a little ring around it. You can see that little groove that runs all the way around the peep sight. Okay, that's there for a reason. It's actually a groove that helps you, lets you tie the peep sight around with the string, with a piece of B50. So I just cut off about a 10-inch piece of B50. You want to lay it in that groove like so. And what I do is I'll tie a half hitch here, and then I'll go around to the bottom and I'll tie a half hitch. Okay, and then I'm going to come back to the top. I'm going to tie one more half hitch. Now that's the half hitch on top of each other like that. That's called a super knot. So we just super knotted the peep sight in there like that. Now, there's no chance that peep sight can come out due to any kind of vibration or this string moving. Okay, we're going to do it like that, and we're going to finish it off with a square knot like that. Snip it with the scissors, and you'll burn that just like you did before, just enough to melt it so it'll stick to itself. Okay, and there you go. That peep sight will go nowhere unless I cut it out. All right, well, there you go. That's the proper way to install a peep sight to ensure that the peep sight's going to turn every single time to the proper position so you can see your sights through it. You know, now one of the things that I've told you guys plenty of times before is there's such thing as called training the peep sight. Now, there's almost never do you get it trained perfectly or set perfectly off the bench to where when you draw the bow that your peep is going to line up every time right off the bat on a new bow. Okay, so what you have to kind of do is you're going to have to train that. Now we're going to talk about that training part once we get out to the range and start shooting the bow and sight it in, because you can't do it unless you're shooting the bow. Okay, so on our next video, and everybody's been waiting for this, we're going to take the bench tuned bow that we have here, the Winchester Black Horse. We're going to take it out on the range. We're going to sight it in. We're going to broadhead tune it. We're going to get everything tweaked so we can kill the deer with this puppy this season. Well, you guys be sure to stay tuned. Until then, I'll see you next time.